Hey there, it's Tim from Boston Impressions, and guess what? You've just hit play on the Tell Me Three Things podcast. Great conversations with great people. So what's the deal here? Well, we'll dive into chats with some seriously cool folks from around the world of sales, marketing, and entertainment. But here's the catch. Every guest has to spill three things that gives us a sneak peek into what makes their story different. Welcome to Tell Me Three Things, where every chat might just lead you to discover something totally unexpected. So fill me in. What's going on?
Just working like a dog. Been running and gunning quite a bit with work, and that's been good. And trying to work on trying to finish my book. That's proving more time-consuming than I thought.
Yeah. Are you writing it yourself?
Yes. And my editor's a really good lady. She cracks a whip on me. What I didn't anticipate was when I thought I was done. I mean, I'm done,
right.
But you're not done, Randy. I want you to fix this, and I want you to rewrite this because I don't like the way that sounded at all. So I'm in the midst of doing that stuff right now. So
she's your editor. You think you're done with something, and the editor says, no, you're not.
Basically, yeah. And it's all good. There's just areas where she said, no, I think you need to fix this and adjust that. She says, I love the story. I love how you write, but you just gotta, and she said, but that's normal. She says, I've got people that I've done 8 books for, and it's the same thing.
Wow.
It's just, that's what you pay me for, is to tell you that it sucks before it's produced and everybody says it sucks.
It sucks before someone tells you it sucks. I love
exactly.
that.
She exactly says, well, that's fine. I just, I'm a bit of in a rush right now, not for any reason other than I just want to be done. But
yeah.
But that's okay. It's the first. I want to do some others. I've got something else in the works here that's kind of exciting that I want to get started on. So I want to finish.
You want to spill the beans on that?
I could spill the beans a little bit because he said we could. Wes and I are going to write a book together for Ben Gay III.
Oh, no kidding!
It's going to be part of the Closure series. So wow. I think we're going to be the closers number 6. I think.
No kidding.
And we're gonna focus on working trade shows, and all the things you ought to do and prepare for, and how to work them, how to engage. It's not just show up and have beers in the evening with your buddies. You can do that anytime, right? It's and from both sides of the aisle, attendees and exhibitors. So yeah, we're pretty excited about that.
That's great. You should be. And you guys really know the trade show market, like the back of your hand, I would imagine.
Yeah. So it'll be fun, and just blessed to be able to be doing it with Ben, because let's face it, in the sales genre, there's nothing better than being on his book, right? I mean,
right.
It's as good as it gets, and that's why I feel pretty blessed with he wrote the foreword for my book I'm writing now, or finishing. So
nice.
Having foreword by Ben Gay III on the front is kind of doesn't hurt.
That's cool. Now, who is he a disciple of? Is he a disciple of Earl Nightingale?
Well, yeah, he's real good friends with Earl, really with Napoleon Hill, Dr. Hill, Zig Ziglar,
wow,
William Penn. So he was the really worked closely. Napoleon Hill was his actual mentor at one point in time. Worked with him daily, wow. And then he beat out Zig in a sales contest and became president of Holiday Magic, which is the largest cosmetic multi-level marketing company back in the day. And so Ben beat Zig. The prize was being president of the company, but William Penn, that owned the company, realized that he probably needed a little help, and so he hired Napoleon Hill, of all people, to be his mentor.
No kidding.
So he sat in the office every day with Napoleon. So great stories, taking them out on the boat together, and so they really and then he was good friends with Earl Nightingale. He told a story once on my podcast, about he and Earl Nightingale and Napoleon Hill on a boat together, and Ben was driving his boat in the Vancouver Bay or San Francisco Bay, I forget. It might have been probably San Francisco Bay, and might have dumped Earl off the front. And he said, "Oh, Gus is great. I've killed Earl Nightingale, the voice of America, right at the time." And
Right.
but he wasn't. He was just hanging off the edge, going, "Are you going to help me up, or are you going to look at me?" So
What
but
year was this, do you think?
gosh, this goes way back. It's got to be in the late '60s, probably, maybe
Wow.
early '70s.
And
But
how
no,
old
it's
is Ben now?
he's 81, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I'm
So
pretty sure it's
so
81.
he was a young kid.
Yeah, yeah. He got started as he actually, when Zig was big on the speaking tour, he'd actually carry. Remember, Zig would always carry that pump because he'd always talk about priming the pump, right?
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
his famous. He said Ben used to carry that pump around for Zig.
No kidding.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So
wild. That's
it's
wild.
wild, and so yeah, so I'm excited for both of those. Getting my first book out to um, get my feet wet in that world. Um, I and I'm really excited to write this with Wes, with Ben or for Ben. So
Yeah. How long of a book is the one you're working on now?
not that long, probably 125, 130 pages.
Right,
So
right.
just I I my editor, when we first talked about she said, "How long do you think it's going to be?" And I says, "Well, how long do you think it should be?" And she says, "Long enough to say what you want to say." Fair enough. She said, in today's world, and I think she's right about this. If it needs to be 400 pages, it ought to be 400 pages. But to stretch this stuff out just to fill pages, with our swipe left society that we've become with podcasts and with YouTube and with social media, I'll admit, if I go to YouTube or TikTok, if you don't get me excited in about 9.5 seconds, and even if I'm interested, I'm swiping, right? Because you just, and that's the way we've all become trained. I think is if it's not good necessarily. I think it would probably be better if we could all learn to sit down and read a 400-page book and really dig into it. But I don't. I think we've all lost that ability to some degree, right? And
Or
if I,
desire, right?
or desire, you're right. And so she said, if you can say what you want to say in 6 paragraphs, say it in 6 paragraphs. It's the message that counts, not how many pages it is. So
Cool.
and so, anyways, yeah, I'm condensing a couple things and fixing. The good news is many of the chapters are just perfect. It's just there's just a few in the middle that she felt I got a little kitty wampus on, and so I'm just working on fixing those a little bit. So
Sure, sure.
my goal is to still have it on Kindle and producing paperback within the next 2 months. I hope 3 at the max.
That's a
So
good goal, you know?
yeah,
Get it done before the end of the year.
well, exactly, because I want to have it too for um, trade shows coming up in my industry, because I'm interested in selling it anywhere outside of just my industry. But my goal, Tim, would be to use this as Dave Mamano. You know Dave, right? David
No,
Mamano.
I've never spoken to him, but I do know who he is. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a great guy. When we get to New York State, we always get together and have some dinner together. But like he told me, and we've all heard it a million times, it's in a large degree, it's a $16.95 business card, right? And there's a lot to be said for that. Being a published author adds some credibility to everything else you do. And my goal is to do more talking, more speaking, I should say. I like talking. I like speaking at events, at trade shows, at things like that. Um, I figured out one thing with writing this book that I kind of figured I knew already, but my goal would be, and where I'd be good at, would be, you want me to come in for the morning or the afternoon and give a talk, hang out, sign a couple books, hang out with your people, answer questions. I'm all in for that. I don't want to be a trainer. I don't want to come in with booklets of stuff and sit in front of the room for 4 days walking through a training. I don't want to do that. I'd suck at
You
it.
know what? And they don't want you to do it either. The people that are taking those kind of trainings, they don't want to be there.
They don't want to be there. No, they want, I think, what's exactly what I want to do is I'll try to give you 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes of my view on something, on what's worked for me, what I've kind of learned over these 4+ decades, and hopefully some storytelling and hopefully some some interest and bring you something, and then shake hands, sign a book for you if you want one, and you leave, I leave, and we're all happy, right?
Right,
And
right, right.
yeah, because believe me, we've all been to those training things where it's like after the first hour you realize there's 2 more days of this. It's like, are you kidding me? You already hate the teacher, you already hate the coach, just not because of personally, but I don't want to be here. And
Right.
so,
Yeah, you got things going on in your territory. You've got things going on at home, and the last thing you want to do is be forced to sit in a conference room talking, listen to someone talk who doesn't know, who knows your industry for sure, but doesn't know the personal struggles of every
hey,
person there. I don't get it. You know,
they don't
one
get it.
time I went to Vegas and sat in a conference room for 3 days for a guy named Sean something or other. I can't remember his last name, but he touted himself as $1 million a year print salesman, and that's
Okay.
how he wrote a book, How to Become $1 Million a Year Print Salesman. Well, you know, he was okay, a lot of bullshit. Then years and years later, it comes out it was all just it was a lie. And there
Uh,
are within 100 miles of me right now, there are $1 million print salesmen uh, that just a regular salesman for printing companies. So
right, right.
I didn't take anything away from it that I thought I would. But I will say, the
Right.
first time I ever met Jeffrey Gitomer, I had bought
Hmm.
his book. I don't know how I ended up with the Little Red Book of Sales. I know my dog ate it, the first one, and I bought a second one, and I've gifted it a couple of times. When I met him, it was like late '90s, like 98, 99, and he was speaking here in Boston at a hotel. And I went and I was blown away, and I bought other things, right? And
Hmm.
then here we go, 20 years later, and he's no different than you or I. It's weird.
Right.
It's tough
It is.
sometimes when you come closer to your heroes and realize they're just humans.
Hey, exactly. That is true, and there's so much to be said for it, and they're all over. You could spend the next 20 minutes on TikTok or YouTube or Facebook or name it, Instagram, and find 750 guys or gals selling this program. And anybody can ask to park in front of this mansion for 20 minutes and rent a Lamborghini for the day
Right.
and hire a
Right.
couple of nice looking girls unless they happen to know a couple, and they put on a slinky dress and hang all over them, and it looks like they're this Lamborghini driving, mansion living, got the hot babes, the whole super success thing. They
Yeah.
rented all that. So I mean, it's like, it's hard to tell the difference, right? That's the problem.
Absolutely, absolutely. I've interviewed a couple of those guys that I've found on, not those kind of guys, but other guys that are
Hmm.
legit.
Right.
I interviewed this guy, Kyle Shannon, and he is, he's owned an agency in the past. He owns a company right now called Storyvine, which is a video production application. But he's really into AI, and he goes live every single day, 5 out of 7 days, and he just talks about the things that he's discovered about AI and gives advice and is funny as hell. And last night he was playing the guitar and tells great stories. And those are the kind of people. And after interviewing him, I realized he was just a regular guy.
Yeah.
He's not trying to sell. Actually, his thing called the AI Learning Lab or AI Salon, which you can join. It's free. He's not trying to sell you anything. And he said the
Right.
same thing that you said is there's going to be a bunch of people out there getting rich off of AI right now. And what they're getting rich on is trying to sell you a course on how to get rich on AI. You
Right.
know?
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
So,
And back to your point, like with meeting Jeffrey, um, when when uh, when I first met Ben Gay in person, so Ben's a guy. I read his books, the Closure series, 1,000 years ago. Right. He's like meeting Mickey Mantle if you're a big baseball guy. To me, as a sales guy, known
right.
who he was forever, and got close, been on the show, communicate often. That in itself is like wow, and become really friends. And when we met, he and his wife out in California, it was what I was struck by is this is a guy that in my world, Mickey Mantle, right? And he was you and me, just as
Yeah.
nice a guy, unassuming, but yet you sat with him and the stories and the people he's known and the people he's been with. Some people would be like flaunting that like there's some big deal. It's just a matter of fact. It's no big deal. I threw Earl Nightingale off the boat and we all laughed about it and it was funny, and but it's unique. And I like those kind of people that have made it to the pinnacle, maybe, but they still are grounded, right? And not
Right.
pretending to be anything. And I suppose part of it is if you already are something, you don't have to pretend anymore. So maybe that's part of it. Maybe these guys that
Right.
aren't haven't reached much yet, but they want to. They have to pretend they are. That fake it before you make it thing, which as our buddy Bam says, that he doesn't like that comment at all. Which I don't. I agree, right? But it's interesting. It's just you get all kinds. You got to weed them
So
out.
Randy, what is the name of your book?
My journey to hybrid.
Nice.
Now we may change it to the journey, but I think we're going to go with my journey because really thanks for asking. Really what it's really simple. It starts out and takes me from an 8-year-old boy on a farm, learning lessons from my dad, just about life in general, but learning lessons about sales, learning lessons about doing what you say you do, taking care of people, learning lessons that I didn't even know were lessons at the time and could
Right.
have cared less at the time. And here I am 60 years later still talking about them, right? Um, and worked my way through working with him, learning sales, learning to do it the right way. And so really what I'm trying to do with it, Tim, is I'm the ultimate old school road warrior, or was, right? And that's all I knew, and that's what my juice was. That's what I loved. And then when the whole COVID thing hit, and we met, you and I, and Bam and Wes and Michelle, everybody, Sean, and I don't want to miss anybody, but we all met, right?
Right.
And that was a time where I didn't know what to do, but I knew I had to do something. But I already started to identify that maybe there's a better way to force multiply this thing than to just airplanes every day and rental cars every day, and you see 4 or 5 people if you're lucky. But I probably would have never changed if it wouldn't have been for the COVID forcing me
Right.
to change. And
Mm-hmm.
so, and I know at one point in time I saw 2 schools of thought. One was the never changers, that I'm not doing any of this virtual garbage. I'm not doing any of this stuff. I'm going to wait and set at home until we go back to quote normal. Well, I already figured out that I don't know that that makes sense because there are better new ways to do some things, right? But then there was the other side, which was nobody's ever going to travel again. Nobody will ever sit in somebody's office and shake hands and go have a burger and a beer. It's over. It's all going to be virtual, period. Well, I certainly did not buy that either. Especially in my industry, we're very much, bro hug and kissing babies and hanging out over a couple beers in the evening. And that's the way business gets done in my industry.
Mm-hmm.
And so I adapted quickly to this new way and loved it, but I missed the road. I missed the in person with people. And then once I started recognizing I don't have to go one way or the other, why can't I hybrid? And that's where the hybrid came from. I use the hashtag hybrid road warrior Randy, right? Because I used to use
Right.
road warrior Randy, but I said, why can't I bring the two together and augment one off the other, right? And so that's what I've been really practicing that craft, if you will, for the last couple of years, especially for myself. And I just feel like it's a workable enough concept that it might be worth somebody, if they're thinking about it, at least reading on what I did and how I did it. Use part of it, use some of it, use none of it. Throw it away if you don't like it. Whatever. But
Right.
I feel like I lived it recently, and I think the one place that I hope brings a little credibility is I'm doing it every day right now. I mean, we're doing virtual right now. This would be considered new school, right? We're doing
Right.
a virtual podcast here. The second I get off this with you, I'm going to be on a cell phone, calling a customer, a little old school, right? And so I'm living it every day, back and forth, in and out. And that's probably the biggest thing I'm going to try to get people to understand is once you figure out all the different ways, it's ever evolving. There
Right.
is no normal day. And I wrote the ending a long time ago, before I was even to the end. And I won't do the whole thing, but I put the end, or more like the continuance. because that's the way I see living a hybrid lifestyle is there is no end and there's no
Right.
start and there's no middle, but yet there's all of that at the same time, right? Each day is minute by minute, hour by hour. You're in, you're out, you're here, you're virtual, you're not virtual, you're live, you're not live. Uh, and when I go to trade shows, I'm always doing some live events or videoing with somebody. If I'm at a customer, I love to say, hey, you got a minute? Let's jump on here and do a quick 3-minute video in your shop, right? So you could combine both ways simultaneously. So that's really, thank you for asking, but that's really the gist of this book. And then we'll see where we go from there.
Well, that's great. Have any of those never doers come to you after the fact, after 2.5 years, and said, Randy, I was wrong.
Surprisingly, not as many as you'd think, but some. And so I take. I'm glad to see when some of them do come back around and say, hey, could you tell me a little bit more about this? I'm not sure I'm fully in yet, but give me a little bit more about this. And I've talked to a couple groups this recently, and one of the biggest concerns is a lot of people still, it's like with social media. And I know you and I are on the same page with this. My belief is, and I'll tell people everywhere I talk, social media is what the website was 10, 15 years ago. If they can't find you on the website 15 years ago, you don't exist.
Right.
If they can't find you on social media in today's world, you just don't exist. And you certainly don't exist as much as, and I use the story, I say, think about it. If you're an old school, I did a talk someplace, and this older contractor said, I get it, but I don't think I need to do any of this stuff. I've been doing this for 40 years and word of mouth, everybody knows me. I said, absolutely the perfect best. That's the best by far. Never argued that. But I said, what happens when Billy Bob comes up from Arkansas, 23, 25-year-old, build a few buildings, gets started, does a few roofs, gets testimonials every day from customers. He's shooting videos of new roofs. He's got all these customers saying, oh, my God, Billy Bob's the best ever. Oh, my God, is he good? Holy crap, you got to go. And that's all people see day after day after day after day after day. When they're ready to buy a roof, he has at least evened the playing field with you, if not gone ahead in the playing field, because he's telling everybody how good he is.
Right.
With testimonials, with pictures, and you're relying on hoping somebody tells Martha and Jim over there to call you, right? So he's at least leveled the playing field. So I think, and another concept I love about that, I talked about this a couple weeks ago at a show I spoke at, is that it's an interesting, I found this and I did a little research and it seems pretty accurate, but 95 in a B2B world, 95% of the people out there right now, the potential customers, are not ready to buy your product today, right this minute. You're going to get that 5% by doing those things that you do, the call to actions right now. We got a promo, we got a sale, hurry, sale ends tomorrow at 3. There's all the stuff you do, whatever that is. But a lot of what we're doing, I think, with social media is developing and becoming somebody of importance and somebody known to that 95% that aren't ready today. Right?
Right.
I want, and so I had these guys go, I know you do some stuff on TikTok. And I said, why I do TikTok? Because they go, I don't understand that at all. I said, I didn't a year ago. But I use TikTok for 2 reasons. One, it's just fun. It's just fun and different. And you can be a little bit more looser. I always still try to maintain the professional decorum of a guy that's been around for a while. But I said, you know why I use TikTok? You need to go where your customers live. And my potential customer is that 24-year-old guy or girl that's going to be that buyer of my product in a year or 2 years or 3 years. When it comes time, I want them to already know me. I want them to already know me as a professional in the industry, as somebody that knows stuff, somebody that's kind of fun and funny and quirky and interesting, whatever they get out of what I do. And so I want their first thought is, okay, I'm the buyer now. I need to buy some metal roofing stuff. I'm going to call that Randy dude, man. I like him, right?
Yeah.
I already know him. They already know me. And so I think that's why.
It doesn't seem like it's that much more of an effort to do it. I know it's a lot of effort, but for these people who refuse not to, then, it doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't. And the effort is so easy because of number one, just follow all your customers. And then post, comment, and share stuff your customers do. If you do nothing more than that, think about it. If you got 10 customers that post on a regular basis, let's say they post every day, and you share their post and say, "Oh my," you see me do it all the time. "Oh my God, beautiful roof by Husky Metal Roofs in Harrison, Michigan." Whatever. That took me seconds, right? That took me
Yeah.
seconds, and I'm letting the boys at Husky Metal Roofs, who are great customers and great friends, know that I'm supporting them and helping them, right? I'm watching them, I care about them. But it
Hmm.
also, that's 10 more posts today that I've got out there for people to see. That shows I'm active, I'm involved in the industry,
Yeah.
and it took me seconds. And how many seconds does it take to be driving down the road and something pops in your head that's interesting? You got your little thing on the little holder, click, you record. Hey, it's Randy. I'm driving down the road, middle of New York State, and you know what? Whatever it is I'm thinking about, hit, boom, post it, done. I mean, it takes zero time.
Are you posting 10 times a day across everything? What do
Oh
you
yeah,
think?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
easy, easy. And especially when I combine the sharing other people's, but I'll post my own stuff anywhere from 4 to 8 times a day,
That's cool.
and it can be anything from a video. Uh, I do TikTok and Facebook Reels separately from the other stuff. Um, just because I think that's a little bit unique audience, maybe, or some people will look at a reel that they won't look at your other post. Uh, and again, I get a kick out of it. To be brutally honest, because it's fun, I get a kick out of doing a video and then flipping through the music for a minute, deciding what music I want to use with it, because that's just sort of fun for me. You know,
Yeah.
I would be dramatic, or I did one from the Nashville airport last night. Sitting there with and that's the thing. People say, I'm sitting at back to your question of how hard and how much time. I'm sitting at the airport having a burger and a beer anyway,
Right.
waiting for this delay after delay. And so I'm thinking, like, what else am I going to do? I've looked at everything on Facebook. I've looked at Tim Lord 12 times. I've had enough of you. So it's like,
No one wants to do that.
I tell you, after 5, it was getting a challenge. No, but it was like, I'm sitting there thinking, okay, this is really a pain. I'm going to tell everybody it's a pain. Set the phone up against my beer and did just nothing more than, and maybe you saw it or not, but nothing more than, like exasperated, and then play some kind of music that went along with that, and just, but it's just one more to connect and show people that you're a real guy, right?
Yeah.
And everybody can go, oh man, that's got to suck. I hate getting stuck at airports too, right? That's a pain.
Right.
But how hard was it? It took zero effort.
Randy, I would say there's a lot of people in my life that are in sales, and some of them are lucky and some of them aren't. But I think in your case is a good example of someone who is good at what they do, thinks outside the box, and it's hard and works at it, and nothing, there's luck and then there's, making yourself lucky. And I think that you're a pretty good example of that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I appreciate that. What you just said is really important. You do create your own luck a lot of times. You put yourself in the right position. Is that lucky? Sometimes it does. Sometimes we just luck of the draw got in the right position at the right time, but it still comes down to what do you do with that?
Right.
Do you do anything with it or not? And and what I love about everything virtual, and I mean that's whether it's hosting or guesting on podcasts, whether it's doing videos, whether it's all the other stuff we do on Facebook, whether it's doing talks at events, whatever that is, writing articles, which I am blessed to be able to do a fair amount of. Whatever those are, it is one of the things I'll say in every talk I ever give, probably several times to make sure everybody gets it in their little noggin. Visibility equals opportunities. It just does. The more visible you are, the more opportunities that come find themselves, right? And
Right.
and all that is another force multiplier, right? If you come find me because you saw me and you go, I want to talk, I want to know this guy. Well, how much effort does it take to sometimes find that person? That's a lot of effort at times.
No doubt.
But if you found me, that's a real plus, right? And if you found me, it's probably you have a higher level of interest in working with me than somebody I just dug up, right? Because you came and found me because there's something that you saw that you're interested in, right? And so I think visibility is such a force multiplier that and the key there. And I was chatting about this a couple of weeks ago on something. I might have wrote an article recently about it. It doesn't matter. That it's really. Oh, I know. I'm talking about my book right now. Is that it's really important. Is the more visible you are, the more important it is to be the same person wherever you are. You cannot, my opinion, Tim, you cannot be this one personality on air, if you will, or in some video you post, and then be a different person when you walk into their office.
Yeah.
It's got to be 100% identical. And I can tell you right now, I'll say quirky stuff. I'll say off the wall stuff. I'll be goofy and dumb at times. That's my personality. And you're going to get that on this, or you're going to get it if I walk in your office. You know, I mean, I've been known to walk into people's office that I've never really met before, talked a couple times, felt I could get away with it and go, okay, I'm a little pressed for time today, so can I just get an order and I'll get out of your hair? And then we all laugh, you know, and then you go about what you do, right? But
Right.
but you're going to get what you get. And I think that's really important because I think we all talk about this because we all do the same stuff a lot. The raw and organic is important. If you're going to go any kind of virtual, it's got to be raw and organic. It's just nobody wants the director cut perfect, you know, 7,000 hours of editing and make everything a little perfect and take the away and all that. People just want to hear you talk, where
Right.
you come from, right?
Right.
So
Amazing.
You know,
Well, Randy, I did not expect this to go 32 minutes, but now that we've done this, right? This is
Yes.
now going to be a recorded podcast. So
love it.
we end every podcast with this. Tell me 3 things about you, Randy, that people might not know. Not maybe even your own family.
I really do not like any kind. What's the sea urchin? I do not like sea urchin.
Okay.
That's pretty important. So if you ever invite me over to dinner, I will politely decline sea urchin. I don't want to eat
Okay.
sea urchin.
Okay.
Most people may know this, but might not fully know it if they don't know me well. Is I will prefer 108 degree steaming hot humidity over 50 degrees all day long. Don't want to be cold. I accept my, and thirdly, and Bam will love this one because we discussed this the other day. I will keep my house thermostat during the day at 78 degrees. Everybody else goes, "You are nuts. Are you a reptile or what? What is wrong with you?"
Right.
Everybody else says, "Well, we keep ours at 69 and 71." And I'm going, I might turn it down to 76 at night because I like it a little cooler.
Yeah.
But it goes right back up to 78 in the day because I get up and I go, "Holy crap, it's cold." So I like heat. I don't like it cold in the house, and I hate sea urchin.
Those are some really good ones. Randy, I thank you so much for joining me on a moment's notice to check out this software. I'm not going to keep you any longer, but I want to tell you how grateful I am for you in so many ways and getting to know you over the last, it's almost 4 years now, right?
4 years. And it's been a great 4 years, man. And that's one of the, and I truly say this, seriously, my man, off bad things, there's always silver linings. It's hard to say there's any good stuff that, it sounds silly to say, oh, COVID was a good thing. No, everything about that was not a good thing, right? But you can take good things out of everything, right? The stuff that we're doing now and the stuff that you and I just talked about, as I said earlier, I would have probably never stepped that far out of the box of comfort, right? If I didn't have to.
Right.
And secondarily, the likelihood that, since it's you and I here, the likelihood of you and I meeting without that have happened and we're all searching for something would probably not happen, right?
No doubt.
I mean, probably the chances are almost zero that it happened. So that in itself tells you every day to live life to its fullest and to be out there and to network and to meet people and you just can't know enough good people. That's the bottom line.
No doubt. And we are overdue. We are overdue for a dinner for sure when either I get down to Florida or you come up to New England. But you have a mantra that you normally end all of your videos with. Can you give that to us before we get out?
Well, I have 3. So which one do you want?
The one. All right, go ahead and give them to me, and
Okay,
we
here
can
it'll be.
always edit it.
You can always edit it out. Okay, so what I usually say is you only get one go around, so live it, love it, own it.
Okay.
Got to love what you do and do what you love. That's what I'm doing today. And make today your best day ever. Till tomorrow.
That's the one.
That's the
All
one.
right. Love you, my friend.
Love you, brother. Thank you, my man.
Right. See
All
ya.
right, cheers.
Bye.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thanks for tuning into the Tell Me Three Things podcast. We are a proud part of Boston Impressions, a nimble agency based in Nashua, New Hampshire. Our editors and executive producers today are Jackie Kenny and Ivana Antipas. To watch or listen to more episodes, just visit our YouTube channel or find us anywhere that you get your podcast by searching Tell Me Three Things. See you next time.